Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about politics. Now, if you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I am channeling this, so about 60% of what you're about to see today is my spirit guides, and 40% is Susan trying to make sense of the things they're telling me. I'm jumping on today. Today happens to be Easter. So happy Easter, happy Ramadan, happy Passover, happy Sunday. And, may your chocolate bunnies be solid and not hollow. Anyway, now we can get on to some important business. Really big things happening in the political landscape of the United States. Now, I do answer questions from other countries, and I realize that a lot of us feel like we're in a dumpster fire, but and that's true. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and tell you that the United States may be a little further out than most of you in this dumpster fire category. So let's talk about our Supreme Court. Let's talk about Justice Thomas. Let's talk about his newly found out. The guides are saying to me, this was all public, and it is true. These things have been written up in articles for decades. And I'm not even going to lie to you guys. This stuff has been out there, but thanks to whatever glorious and amazing astrological new thing is happening, now people are seeing things as if for the first time. So even though maybe this information has been published before, the public has not been willing to acknowledge it, understand it, or react to it. But now it's like the public, and this is everywhere in the world, folks, people are saying, wait, what? Wait, what? What's going on? And it's as if they're seeing these things like for the very first time. So let's pretend that this is all new. But in reality, this has been going on for about 20 plus years. So what has happened is that Justice Thomas, this is for entertainment purposes only, and allegedly, well, this stuff we know, it's been documented up and down, and a really good source for this is ProPublica. They are not for profit. They really get you the scoop, and they're not associated. They're just very neutral. It's a very good source for news. So ProPublica is the one that really broke this recently. It turns out that Justice Thomas and his wife Jenny partake in many very expensive vacations once or twice a year, paid for by this guy, Harlan Crow. Now, if you're in Texas, I guarantee you probably have seen a sign called Trammell Crow. Trammell Crow is Harlan Crow's brother. Trammell Crow owns everything in Texas. They own a lot of office buildings. They own a lot of everything. I think the guides are saying they're the biggest broker of rental buildings, commercial buildings, that kind of thing. So you just see Trammell Crow all around, and they've got other subsidiaries. They are involved. Of course, they rent. The guides are telling me they rent offices to like the oil and gas. I mean, they're very, very wealthy brothers. Okay, Harlan Crow. Now, Harlan Crow is the guy that has created this chummy friendship with Thomas and Jenny, with Justice Thomas and Jenny, and he flies them to his ranch in Dallas. He takes them on these very expensive $500,000 plus vacations on his private yacht in different places around the world. There's many photo documentation of this. ProPublica did a fantastic job of actually really and truly investigative reporting, where they went and interviewed people that worked on those yachts. They tracked the flights from, Thomas's local airport to Dallas. They talked to everybody. They talked to the dishwasher, the pilots, the dock hands, everybody. They got this information 9 ways to Sunday. And there's much photographic evidence that matches the flight paths. I mean, it's just, okay, it's a done deal. And on top of that, Thomas has come out and said, hey, it's friends. We're friends. I mean, he's nice to me. He's never had anything before the court, blah, blah, blah. That is not true. That is not true. Harlan Crow has had many things before the court. He has many different subsidiaries of businesses and organizations. And he even paid for Jenny Thomas's salary for one of these organizations. So look, that's a bunch of BS. But what's going to bring Thomas down? Now, the thing I think is interesting is that the spirit guides, if you've been watching me for a little bit, you'll know the spirit guides have been saying Thomas is going to go. Thomas is going to go first. You guys asked me last year. Yep, Thomas is going to be the first Supreme Court justice to go after RBG, right? Thomas is the first to go. How is he going to go? I don't know. I've been asking, you guys know that I wear my guides out by asking them these questions. I asked this question over and over again every time they told me Thomas is going to be leaving the court. Is he going to cross over? Probably not. Is he going to get removed? No. Is he going to step down of his own accord? Yes. Okay. So this is where we are. Now, why? Now listen, all of you, I know we're all fed up. I know that we've been saying something was going to happen. I know that everybody's fed up with the slowness of the court cases against Trump. I know that. But I need to tell you that this is what the guides have said. And it's literally, I watch what the guides say. Then I watch what I call the timeline. We all have free will, folks. Everybody has free will. So I can't guarantee Thomas is going to do this or this. But when the guides tell me something, what I do is I watch the timeline. I watch the news. I watch and see what's becoming real that they told me. Okay. So what they've been telling me as of the last 6 months is that the Federalist Society, who works very closely with a lot of conservative judges, and many people think that that's a font of dark money that's coming into the court. It's dark. We don't know where it comes from. But we know the Federalist Society is very involved with conservative judges and conservative, politicians. What the guides have been telling me is that these dark money organizations, whether it's Harlan Crow's organization or the Federalist Society or whatever it is, these dark money organizations will do anything to stay in the dark, to stay out of the public eye. Once the public has identified them, has traced those little crumbs of money back to those billionaires, it's game over, right? The game is up. They can't operate anymore because the light is on them. So what the guides have told me is that these organizations will allow a judge to be persecuted, is the word they're using. I mean, that's not prosecuted, that's persecuted. So persecuted is like persecuted in the court of public opinion, have their reputation sullied, have them be disgraced. So and or prosecuted to a degree, but you have to understand they're not going to let that judge lead somebody back to their hidey hole or anybody. So before that happens, they're going to cut that person loose. Even somebody like Justice Thomas, who is so ingrained and ingratiated with a group like Harlan Crow represents, okay? We can't have that. Now, you might not, I'm gonna tell you why even more. It's not about, I'm sorry to say, it's not about the money. It's not about the vacations. That is, unfortunately, some gray area. The Supreme Court justices govern themselves ethically. They govern themselves. Number two, there was something passed by Congress, I think last year, that tightens up some of the reporting, but that's last year. That doesn't account for the last 20 years, right? And it's just not going to happen. We're not going to be able to remove him because of his closeness to a billionaire. That's just the way it is. We have to change the laws. We have to change the laws. Here's how we're going to remove him. Here's how he's going to have to step down, because Harlan Crow is a freak, ladies and gentlemen. He's a freak. He apparently worships dictators like Hitler. He has an original piece of art painted by Hitler. He has Hitler's tea napkins. He has a copy of Mein Kampf, Hitler's book, signed by Hitler. And that's not all. It doesn't end there. He's got a whole garden with statues of dictators like Lenin. And these aren't statues that he commissioned. They're statues from the country where these people are like, we got to get rid of this, right? We got to get rid of this. This is not us. We don't want to be associated with this. Harlan Crow is like, I'll buy it and put it in his own backyard in Dallas, Texas. This man is a freak, okay? So that's really and truly the thing that's going to start to bring Thomas down, okay? That is the thing. Perhaps you want to call it anti-Semitism, or maybe you just want to call it why are you chubby with this guy that likes dictators? Now, of course, the right is saying, oh, he likes dictators because he wants to always understand how these horrible people were. It's like, well, honey, you don't got Colonel Sanders in your backyard. You don't got a bust of him in your backyard. You don't have, other people to offset. Theoretically speaking, one would have good and evil. That might be an interesting, that would still be freaky for me, but at least I could say, okay, this man is a student of history, and here he has, maybe MLK Jr. next to some other, maybe there's some kind of balance that could be happening. But no, there's no balance. This is just devil's garden is what it is, right? So that's one thing. And that's the thing, in journalism, in the media, they used to say something would grow legs. And it means, whether something lands with a thud and nobody cares about it, nobody notices it, or that thing gets up and starts running around, it grows legs. It starts growing popularity. People start sharing it. People are talking about it. Okay. And in the middle of this, the guides are talking about yet Netanyahu. Like in the middle of this in Israel, they're fighting their own dictator, right? But here in America, we have a different kind of dictator. I mean, it's this dictator energy that seems to have woken up like some terrible sci-fi movie and is moving around the world right now for us to go, oh, snap, we should do something about this, right? So here's the other thing that's going to bring Harlan Crow and some other people. Like right now, the guides are showing me a picture of all people, Ted Cruz. There's a public picture of Ted Cruz in Harlan Crow's study with Justice Thomas, who is swearing in. I believe his name is Judge Ho. They did all this in Harlan's study in Dallas. You know what I mean? Like, why would you have this weird little gathering of people to swear in? I think it was a district judge in a billionaire study in Dallas. I mean, it just doesn't, there's stuff there. There's reasons for this. There's reasons for this, people. This stuff just doesn't happen by accident. Now, here's the thing that I need to tell you that's going to freak you out. I mean, if that didn't freak you out yet, that didn't freak you out. I got more. I got the hit. I got the guidance that Harlan and these super wealthy people, right? I mean, these are the Trumps, the Harlan, and Trump isn't even super wealthy, but he ran in that circle. This circle of untouchables, right? The circle of untouchables that have so much power, so much money that they just think the law cannot touch them. That would be a circle that Harlan and his brother run in. So it turns out that his brother, Trammell Crow, is being investigated for some sort of sex ring or something like that. And so when I got all this information, the guides told me this is Epstein 2.0. I mean, Epstein is like, okay, I've got Epstein Island over here, but these other people, maybe like the Crow brothers, have their own little fantasy thing going on. There's this energy of Justice Thomas was caught up in that. Justice Thomas, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, could be linked to some of the things that happened in those special resorts. And right, they're reminding me this woman has come forward, and she's a big fan of Justice Thomas, to be honest with you. She still loves him. And she's come forward and she's written a book about this. That's what I'm saying. All this stuff was out there, but nobody paid any attention to it. It's like we've all been sleepwalking, right? She wrote a book that talked about the menage a trois escapades that she had with Justice Thomas before he was Justice Thomas, before, in between his first wife and Ginny Thomas. Lordy, she describes that man's body with some kind of creepy still. Anyway, really and truly, this is all coming out. I'm telling you right now that the people that are buying these judges cannot have this. They cannot have this information about their little secret societies to be exposed. And they will get rid of that judge. So that judge will be pulled aside and said, you know what? You're going to have to fake an illness and you're going to have to retire. We had a good run, didn't we? Slap them on the back. We had a good run. You did good by us. Don't worry. We're going to take care of you. Don't worry. Just do what we need you to do. You're going to have to step down. And these, and the guides have told me this for 6 months, that a few of these judges are going to be stepping down, and they don't care. The Fed Society or whoever it is, the dark money, they don't care if there's a liberal in that seat because they're playing the long game. If the liberal gets in the seat, then now they've got an enemy. They just switch to being the victim. If their guy is in the seat, then they make hay while the sun is shining and get rid of all these, like abortion, right? They don't care if there's a Democrat in the office or a Republican in office because it's all good for them. They just switch how they're operating. When the Dem is in office, then all of a sudden they can point out everything that's wrong, right? So it's not like we win or they lose or we win. This is an ongoing thing. Okay. Now, of course, when we have Dems in the Supreme Court and Dems in, and this is understanding that they're really Democrats and that they're really genuine good people. And I would even say, although my voice broke when I tried to say it because probably my dad had me by my throat. Dang. That, a Republican, a decent person, just give us a decent person, somebody who's, pretty reasonably neutral on the Supreme Court, right? That honors law, settled law. Give us that. All we're asking for is neutrality and fairness and doing what the people want. The Supreme Court is us. They're not supposed to be up there making laws that the majority of Americans don't want. So this is what I see happening. So this is how, a long way, roundabout way to tell you that this stuff can't become known. It will become known, but it can't become known, or they don't want it to allow it to become known to the degree that it could really ruin them. What does that look to me? That looks like Harlan getting arrested, Trammell Crow getting arrested, their businesses being decimated the way Trump's has been decimated, right? The really and truly, Lady Justice coming in and stomping all over them. That can happen. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm saying that they're going to do everything they can to keep it from happening. If that means making this justice disappear, that's what that means. Okay? They're expendable is the bottom line here. Now, when I go into Amy Coney Barrett, you guys, some people would say, oh, well, she's very conservative, but she's voted sort of to toe the line on some things that she, should. She's voted with the liberal judges, whatever you want to say. She's their poison pill. She's the one that when they really need something, they'll give her the word and she'll vote for it. So again, you have to understand this is a game that's being played. They don't want to make the American people so mad that that these journalists, these investigative journalists, have the backing of the American willpower, that the American people are hungry for this kind of justice. So that's why you see them sort of playing the field. They're trying to find that level where they don't go too far. You've seen that. Okay. Since the abortion ruling, you have seen that. You've seen where the Supreme Court has been like, one vote away from disaster, but at least one vote kind of. So one of those conservatives went over to the other side. That is what they're doing. They're just trying to live to rule another day. That's what they keep telling me. We want to be able to live to rule another day. That's what's going on there. Now, I also see Amy Coney Barrett. I've always seen this. I see her having some kind of medical issue. I don't wish this on anybody. I'm simply reading the energy. I see her having some sort of medical issue that may preclude her from serving on the court. It could be this year. It could be next year. I do not see her on the court for 5 years. I don't see her on the court for 3 years. Again, just like Clarence Thomas, I didn't have that on my bingo card, folks. I didn't have best friend, Nazi loving billionaire having swinger parties in the mansion. I didn't have that on my bingo card. I knew Justice Thomas was the first one who's going to leave the Supreme Court, but I didn't have that. Also, you might want to, for your own edification and joy and entertainment, look up Anthony Scalia. Is that his name? Look up how he died. He died in a I think it was in Texas. I'm telling y'all, something going on down here. He was with a group of men that are a part of this old order that I want to say is maybe 200 years old. This order is, and it's very secretive. And he was part of this order, secret order. And he died while he was on a hunting trip. Okay. That got me thinking all kind of things, You got Clarence Thomas over here in this secret society with this billionaire. You got Scalia over here in his secret society. We know there's secret societies on Wall Street. We know the family. If you look up the family, it's like it boils down to this. This is really what I think it boils down to. Secret societies operate around the notion or the requirement, not the notion, but the requirement that we all have to have something on each other. Otherwise, how's it going to stay secret? What's going to keep you in check? So even to join it's just like a gang, a mob back in the day, to join the gang, you got to go out and hit somebody. If you kill somebody, well, you're a murderer. So you better stick with us because we're all murderers. You can't, go against us. You can't testify against us because we'll testify against you. Checkmate. So these secret societies all have things on each other. That's why people were going, why are all the Republicans kind of pedophiles? Why are they all interested in checking people's gender? You know what I mean? Why are they against gay people? Why are they against, remember when, who was it that was against dildos? I mean, who freaking cares, right? But I think in Texas, you can only order a certain number. It's like crazy. Why are they so about regulating everything that's odd? That's, get your weird on, right? Well, because this is what they do. This is what they do. They know this about each other. This is what holds them in check. That's why they're all of those persuasions. You tell somebody that I'm a pedophile, I'm going to tell them that you're gay. You tell them that I'm gay, I'm going to tell them that you're laundering money, right? Well, we're all safe now because we all got something on each other. That's the problem with this group. Now, I'm not going to say that the Democrats are not in on some of this stuff, because I think they are. But I think overall, they're not. As a group, as a political party, they're not. Now they got compromat on you, and you are owned by them. Okay. So that's why all of this is threatening to sort of crumble. That is why all of this is really going to crumble. They're just now taking me to, I don't know why. They're taking me, I mean, I know why, but I don't know. I didn't know I was done with this particular thing, but I guess I am. So here we go. They're taking me to the Tennessee 3, to the 2 gentlemen. Tennessee, by now, if you don't know, you've been under a rock, and God bless you. I'm sure it's a great rock, and I scoot over. I'm coming in with you, because it's been crazy town out here in the real world. So there's 3 Tennessee local state house representatives, 1 white lady, 2 African-American men that stood up and said, no, this gun violence is too much. We're not going to put up with this. We're going to protest this. And the state house voted the 2 African-American men out. They censored them. They threw them out. The white lady made it by 1 vote. Now, these 3 are amazing people that should be, they're heroes. And especially the 2 gentlemen are just heroes. And you will be seeing more of them. So the reason they brought this up next is because the guy, the speaker of the House, many people in the House have allegations against them of sexual impropriety, some with minors. But yet they're still serving their constituents. And these 2 gentlemen, happen to be African-American, get voted out for, staying on the floor for 10 seconds too long, or some ridiculous thing like that. So the reason this is attached to the thing that we were just talking about is the sexual improprieties, is that these people feel like they're above the law, perhaps because they're white, perhaps because they're men, but they feel like they're above the law, and they feel like I can do whatever I want, and I'm going to censure everybody else. So this is the same energy, right? It's the same energy all the way down to the Tennessee State House. And it's over, folks. This ride is over. It's broke down on the side of the road. Those people are going to lose. The people that have been hiding their freakitudes, they're going to lose. Now, I don't care what you do in your house. I don't care. Well, I mean, I do care. No children, no animals. Other than that, I don't care. Hang from your ceiling fan. Do not care. Do not. Consenting adults, I don't care. I don't need to know. Don't tell me. I don't need to know. But I don't care. But when you are doing something to someone that's not consenting, then I do care. And those people are the ones that justice is coming for. Okay. So staying with the Tennessee 3 for a minute, Kamala Harris flew to Tennessee, to Nashville, and gave a rousing speech, pointing her finger, raising her voice in support of these 2 gentlemen. That's a big deal. Biden did a Zoom call with them. This is a big deal. Okay? This is a big deal. And so because these people, when I say these people, I mean like the Republicans, are not used to losing, right? This guy has gone as far as to say that he's not going to. So the way the deal works is if you get tossed out of the House, the local city council sort of can vote for somebody to replace you. Okay. So the way the law works in Tennessee is that local city council votes to replace your seat. They can also vote to put you back in the seat. And if they put you back in the seat, you cannot be removed again. You understand what I'm saying? So immediately there was an outpouring of support for these two gentlemen to be reinstated, to be voted back in by these councils. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. This is Monday. This is tomorrow. So the Speaker of the House is saying, I won't let them in. I refuse to seat them. They're not going to be able to come back until 2025, when we have a general election. Now, this man, Speaker of the House, is basically saying, I am the law. I am the king. This is my kingdom. Forget the Tennessee Constitution, right? This illustrates kind of what's happening all across the country right now. This lawlessness, this ability, this type of thinking where people are thinking, I am above the law, I am the law. I am not going to follow the law. This is happening in almost every state. Well, certainly almost every red state. There's another state they're almost telling me about, but I can't quite get it, where the guy is another guy, the same thing. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm the law. I'm not going to do that. And it has to do with law enforcement. Anyway, I'm going to stick with Tennessee for a minute, because here's the thing. Those gentlemen, because this is the beauty of the whole thing. Those gentlemen, because they were thrown out, unceremoniously thrown out of the State House, they can fundraise now. They can't fundraise while they're serving. But now that they're out, they can fundraise. Well, I donated. I'm pretty sure that their war chest is immense. I'm pretty sure that they have more money in their re-election campaigns than just about any other Republican or anybody in that State House. They are famous. They are now household names. And they will not only serve in the Tennessee State House, they're going to be senators. They're going to be U.S. representatives. They're going to be U.S. senators. The Republicans just elevated them, like sent on a rocket ship, just gave them the most amazing leg up through their own bigotry, racism, and egos. This is the energy we're sitting in. This is the justice energy we're sitting in. I need you to understand that. I know it looks crazy. Frankly, between you and me, it is crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy, but it isn't going to win. This crazy is not going to win. I'm going to go on and tell you why. Some more reasons why it's not going to win. I've already told you why Justice Thomas is going to be gone. I've already told you why these two gentlemen are going to go back in the Tennessee. Now, this guy really may not seat them, but there are remedies. There are court cases. And you know what? Bring it on. I would love for these gentlemen to be in the public eye for another 3 months. I would love that. I would love for them to do a victory lap of every talking head show. I would love that. So go ahead. Go ahead. Don't seat them on Monday. It's going to be another gift. They're probably going to make several $100,000 more based on that. So thanks, right? I'm not worried about them. These gentlemen are almost reincarnated, from civil rights leaders that you and I would know the names of. That is their energy. They're at the right place at the right time doing the right thing. I have no worries about them. And I worry a little bit about the white woman, because she's still there, but I think she's going to end up working for them. I think she's going to end up being on legislative aid for them. They're tight. All three of them are really tight. So I'm not worried about that. They're going to get their justice. Tennessee is going to get a big lesson. And the guide said last week that Tennessee was going to have protests, and look what's happened. The protests in Tennessee are unprecedented, historic. Tennessee is not a state known for protest, yet protests nonstop. Protests nonstop. That's going to catch fire all across the country. Because what the guides have been telling you guys is that these Republicans are winning without a majority votes, because the way our voting system is, the way the maps are gerrymandered, they don't represent the majority of people. Number one. Number two, these kids are starting to wake up and realize we have to do something. We're the ones that are being targeted, and these kids are going to get really involved. Now, the next thing you're going to see is, and you're already seeing it, you already saw it, because our last election, the guides told you there would be more kids involved and that would make a difference, and it did. And here you have people like DeSantis saying we want to raise the voting age. They want to raise the voting age to 21. They want to reduce voting on campuses. They want to make everything they can. They want to make it as hard as they can for these young adults to vote, because they know those young adults are coming for them, that they're fed up, that they're really ready to do the work. They're really ready to vote these people out. And you know what? They're going to hold everybody accountable. I've told you guys this many, many times. These young Gen Zers are going to hold the Democrats accountable. They're going to hold the Republicans accountable. They don't care who you are. They're not beholden to anybody. They're beholden to what they believe is important. So it's going to be a big game changer between now and next year. You're going to see so much public pressure on these politicians that you're going to see them start retiring. You're going to see them start trying to get out of the way of this speeding train, which happens to be Gen Z. Now, I want to talk about really one or two more things, and that is Abbott, Texas Governor Abbott. So there was a guy who, there was a vet. I don't know if he was active or not. He made some public statements that today would be a good day to go into the crowds and create a situation where somebody would try to attack him and he could kill them. He made this statement publicly. This was last year. He just went before he had his court case, because it takes a year to get a court case, people. Again, it takes time to go through the motions of our legal system. He was found guilty, 100% guilty. The minute he was found guilty, our Governor Abbott of Texas, said, I will pardon him. Because he killed somebody that was at a BLM protest. So that BLM protest apparently triggered everybody, and it's ridiculous. It's unethical. It's against the Constitution. We should not have governors overriding the will of a jury. We have a Constitution. We have a system of checks and balances. We have a judicial system. And these people are threatening all of those very important levers of our democracy, of how our democracy works. Again, in Tennessee, I'm not going to accept these people, right? Thomas, I don't care if he is a billionaire and he does give me money. I'm not doing anything wrong, which is all a bunch of bullshit. And now we have Abbott saying he's going to pardon these people. Now, luckily in Texas, there's a board. And if the board allows the pardon, then it can go to the governor to be pardoned. The board has to make the decision. Right now, when I go into that energy, right now it feels like they will pardon him. And I can't be 100% sure about that. I'm trying to read, Governor Abbott's energy, all of the board's energy. I'm trying to read all of the board's spouses' energy, all of the board's, whoever, their pressure. So there's a lot of, it's not set in stone, but right now, as I'm sitting here, it feels like there's a greater chance that they pardon him than there is that they don't. It's not 100%, guys. It's just not. This kind of work sometimes is not 100%. But it is sad that there is right now more support for pardoning him than not. There seems to be that they want to send a message. Again, it's the same energy of, we want to send a message. We are in charge. I'm in charge. The Constitution's not in charge. Our judicial system's not in charge. I'm in charge. And that leads me to the last thing I'm going to talk about, which is this Mifepristone. I can't even say it. Mifepristone, whatever it is. When I'm connected to spirit, I can't. It's hard to do these things. This is the pill. This is the drug that is 100% safe, that has less side effects than Tylenol, that's been on the market for 20 years, FDA approved, and it happens to be an abortion drug, but it's also used for other health issues that women have. So it's not just strictly an abortion drug. Again, it's been widely available. It's a very good drug as far as drugs go. So here we are. We have a judge in Texas who decides that this drug should be outlawed. So I want you to think about that for a minute. One judge in Texas decides that the entire country and the FDA can do nothing, because I'm one judge and I say this drug is not acceptable. We're going to outlaw it. This is a complete breakdown of our democracy. Piece it all together, what I've talked to you today. That's a breakdown. It's a threat. So in response, you have some judges in California that said, okay, we'll put together a case that says it against your case. So instead of having this system of integrated checks and balances, you have these people stepping out on their own, challenging our system, our democracy, and saying, I'm going to put a stick in the spoke of that tire and shut the whole thing down because I can. Now, of course, they think that this could potentially go before the Supreme Court, and then therefore it's game over because they own the Supreme Court, right? But just like I told you guys, this is not likely to be condoned by the Supreme Court. I know that that the majority of them are crazier than, I can't even use the analogy they just told me because it makes absolutely no sense. It's like, have you ever talked to somebody that's from a foreign country and they try to get an analogy right? And you're like, no, corn cob on a hog. No, that's like teats on a hog, honey, or boar, teats on a boar. No, the whole thing was just wrong. Anyway. Got to get back to where I was. Okay, so they know the Supreme Court understands that this is a bridge too far, that this is going to be the third rail, that again, they're in hot water. All eyes are on them. There are people who know things is what I'm getting. People really know things, really have evidence about these parties, and could produce visual or pictorial evidence of Justice Thomas doing something he shouldn't be doing something that would really be shocking, would be shocking enough that the American people would be against it, allegedly. So I don't see that it really happens. I think it's about 5% that it happens. Okay. So let's say 5%. Let's say that it does happen. Let's say that the Supreme Court says, no, this drug is no longer used. let's say that happens. Let's say that the Tennessee State House says, no, these gentlemen are never going to sit in this court. No, let's say that all these things get batted down and the will of the people is shut down. And we have a little bit of anarchy with these bad actors saying, I'm the king of this county, and in this county, you can't make me do whatever you think you're going to make me do. I'm the king of this state. DeSantis wants to create his own army. What happens then? I mean, do we get the United States Army to come in there? You know what I mean? This is that sort of Civil War energy that the astrologers have been talking about for 10 years that is now kind of here because of the planet alignment. But I'm here to tell you that I don't see a civil war. And I don't see, even if one of these bad actors is successful in doing something completely egregious, which they could, I don't see that shutting everything down, because the bottom line is this: the people are big mad. The people are mad, mad, mad. And there's more people that are mad than more people that are pro MAGA or pro this kind of craziness. The guides are showing me that one woman who stayed in the Tennessee State House, who was part of the Tennessee Three, they're reminding me that she was interviewed and she said, well, the first thing she said when they asked her, how come you think you didn't get voted out? And she said, I think it has something to do with the color of my skin. She said that on TV, national TV. But she also said a few days later, I wish I could publicly show you the support that these two gentlemen have from Republicans that just can't come out and say it, just can't be on the public, in the public sphere and say this out loud. These people are afraid. They don't want to live in this country. These Republicans don't want to live in this country. What if one of their enemies who happens to be a Republican gets this power and uses it against them? All of a sudden, we don't have any checks and balances. Nobody wants to live in that. Nobody wants to live in a banana republic. So you're going to see protest. And this summer, you're going to see protests like basically the summer of 68, 69. The guides have been talking to you about the civil rights movement for I don't know how many videos, scores of videos, because this is the energy we're in, of big groups of people marching, protesting to the degree that it has an impact on the powers that be. The powers that be are not going to be able to put up with this. Again, the very last video I did, I put a picture on the screen of Johnson and Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And that is what happened. That man led those people, led the people that followed him to put pressure on the powers that be, to the degree that Johnson had to sit down and say, what do you want? Let's work out some kind of deal. It works when the people start marching and start protesting, and it's sustained. The thing the guide said last time is it will be sustained. We can't just do it for 1 month or 1 week. And it can't just be one group. This is going to be all kinds of groups coming together. And it's going to be kids, and the kids, it's going to be big. It's going to impact everything. It's going to shut down cities. It's going to, now I'm not saying, I don't know that it will or it won't, but I'm not trying to tell you that it's going to burn cities. I'm going to say that's going to shut down cities because they're going to be in the streets. Traffic isn't going to be able to get through. It's meant to shut down cities. It's meant to get attention. It's meant to put pressure on these people. And here you have it in Tennessee. This isn't in California. This isn't in, LA. This is in Tennessee, folks. So I do see this pressure mounting. And then I see that's what flips the table. Now, the other thing is that we have two pathways to getting back on track, to salvaging our democracy. One is the people getting in the street. That is definitely going to happen. And that is a pathway to this. But there's a quicker pathway and a more precise pathway and a less, I don't know what the word is, a less damaging pathway. And that is for these people to get locked up. And I'm not talking about Harlan Crow because he might or he might not. No, I'm not talking about Thomas because he's not going to get locked up, but he is going to step down. So you're going to see that pressure affect the Supreme Court. But I'm talking about Congress. We have to get logical, reasonable, sane, ethical people in Congress. And those people need to get busy and fix our Constitution so that we can't fall apart from the inside out the way we are. The guides have always said this, that these state problems that are just dumpster fires all over the country are going to get fixed on the federal level. They've always said that. These states are not going to get fixed on their own. Texas is not going to fix itself. Florida is not going to fix itself. Missouri is not going to fix itself. Tennessee is not going to fix itself. They're not going to. The fix is in. The voting maps are so gerrymandered that they don't represent the people, and the people can't vote those people out without having 20 to 30% more votes than they need. So it's a much harder thing to do. Not impossible, but harder. So the quicker fix is for Fani Willis to get her RICO on and take down Trump and take down Lindsey Graham and take down Marjorie Taylor Greene and take down as many people as she can connect to Trump. It may or may not be Marjorie Taylor Greene, but definitely Lindsey, definitely Trump, and definitely 10 or 15 others. Some of them people that you don't know, some of them people you do know. Again, the guides told you guys, the DOJ reaches over Fani Willis, Tish James, Bragg, E. Jean Carroll, and says, nope, he's mine. I saw all those people lined up, facing Trump, placing their charges against him, and the DOJ comes over and grabs Trump and says, no, he's mine. So they're going to let these things go on, but the Fed charges are going to trump the state charges. All this to say that if Fani Willis, the thing I can't be 100% sure about is if these people are going to be arrested this summer. If you have the Boeberts, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Jim Jordans, the Meadows, the McCarthy, the Lindsey Graham, I mean, the list goes on. But if you have those people that could be connected to Jan 6, okay, so they're not going to be arrested. They're not going to be arrested. They could be indicted. They could be indicted. Targets of an investigation. They're targets of an investigation. They're going to be indicted. Yeah, they're going to be indicted. Huh. Oh my gosh. Okay. But because I feel like Trump is going to go before a jury. His trial is going to happen in December. That's what they're telling me right now. His trial is going to be ongoing around December. And what they just told me was that they will likely, is that true? it feels like the energy is suggesting that they will likely drop the hammer on Trump. And in the process of dropping the hammer on Trump, that's when they go back and grab these other people. So Trump may go down first, or he may go down mostly. He may be way into the trial before they take out the MTGs and the McCarthys and all that. That's going to be an interesting summer, because some of those people are going to step down, because some of those people were at this crazy party or these crazy fantasy land sexcapade, of the rich and famous. Some of those people were there, y'all. Or there's this sense of, right, it's the same thing. It's the sense of the leveling of the playing field. You're not too big. You're not too powerful. There's a leveling of the playing field. We don't care who you are. We're going to level the playing field. So the last thing is that Anonymous just announced that they're dropping some more data. It's not anything. It's kind of pathetic, but it's like, okay, so they're dropping Clarence Thomas's Pornhub password or something. It's like, who cares, right? I mean, they're dropping something to do with, I think it's Bobert and ducks. Like, she Googled a duck penis. Like, who can, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, come on, y'all playing with me is what's happening at this point. I need the real goods, right? But there is this sense that somebody's going to leak. This is what I'm saying. Anonymous is leaking. Other people are leaking. They had that whole ProPublica thing where they talked to the deckhand. They talked to the pilot. They literally pieced it all together. They could literally take this to a court of law. If we had a law against this, it would actually stand in a court of law. That's how fine detailed the investigation was. But there's this sense we're in this time of leveling of the playing field, and people are going to be found out. They're going to be publicized. Their craziness is going to be publicized, and that's what's going to fix it all. That is what's going to fix it all. The people marching in the streets, mixed with these crushing public displays of testimony or evidence, mixed with people stepping down because I can't go there, or I'm being paid to step down. That's what's going to save us. That's what's going to save our country. I mean, I'm not kidding. I've seen the way it ends. We're going to pull this off. Now, we could pull it off and sweep some of it under the rug to deal with later, which would be a shame. But I think that's probably what we're going to do. I think we're probably going to deal with about 30 or 40% of this mess. And we're going to, again, though, that dark money is going to crawl back into its little hidey hole. They're going to live to rule another day. And that means we'll get another opportunity at this later, right? We had an opportunity at dealing with Hitler. Now we have an opportunity of dealing with it in this way. In the future, we'll have an opportunity of dealing with it in another way. Each time we deal with it, it's better than the last time. We have done work. It's not like we're not doing anything. We've done work. But we are leaving some work for the future, is all I would say about that. But we will strengthen our laws. We'll get rid of these guns. Washington State just voted against, AR guns. We will get rid of them. You will see that happen. You will see a big turnaround of our society to support kids, to support schools, to support all races, all nationalities, and all genders or gender identities. This is on the docket. This is what Americans want. This is what the majority of Americans want. And this is what we're going to get. We can do it the easy way or the hard way, Republicans. You guys decide, but we're here for it either way. And with that, I will take leave. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this rambling, crazy video. I really appreciate you so much. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm happy to hear your comments. But take heart. We're really going to deal with this. Perhaps maybe we're going back to deal with our shadow. We're doing the shadow work. America is doing the shadow work. Okay, you guys, take really good care. We'll talk soon. For entertainment purposes only.